Well, this is the third and the last of the videos I'm going to make about simplifying or maybe demystifying making a fighter kite. This approach to fighter kite making is quite simple and easy for anyone to do who has the materials available and has the desire. Now, one of the things we haven't talked much about is the spine. Now, the spine length is important. It's not critical that it be a specific length. I like to use a ratio of the length of the bow to determine how long the spine is. And that ratio is 0.7 to 0.72 times the length of the bow. So in this case, the bow length is 25 inches, and the spine, if it's 0.7, it would be 17.5 inches, and if it's 0.72, it'd be 18 inches. Anywhere in that range is great. And the wingtip line, which is from wingtip to wingtip dimension, is 0.89 to 0.92 times the bow length. Ratios to me make really good sense in sizing up or sizing down a fighter kite plan. Now, in addition to the spine length, we should talk about where the bridle should be connected to the spine at the lower part of the spine. We talked about the 2 points here on the bow where the upper bridle yoke in a 3-point bridle is attached, about 1.5 to 1.25, somewhere in there, inches on either side of the spine. You put a little hole in the sail and you poke the bridle line through, tie it to each of the points, put a drop of super glue if you wish to hold it there because it needs to stay there. But for the lower spine connection, or lower bridle connection, what do you do there? Well, a really easy way to do it is to measure the distance between the wingtip line and the tail of the kite, and then just make it about halfway in between. That is a very good place. Doesn't have to be exact, but close to that area. Now, one of the other things that's interesting is that when you make a kite like this, you draw a line for the spine and then a perpendicular line for the wingtip line. Once you establish the wingtip line length and you have a wingtip, all you do is draw a line. You have to put your bow in here. Now, the bow, I just drew around it when I put it in my photo corner pockets, but as you can see, it's not exact, but it's pretty close. And once that's in, I just draw a line, a straight line from the wingtip line to the spine, so that the line keeps the bow on the kite side of the ruler that I'm using to draw the line. that determines where the nose of the spine will be, the nose of the kite. Once that's determined and you know the spine length from the ratio of your bow length, in this case 17.5 inches, you put it there, and then you draw your line. You measure that from the nose, 17.5 inches, to the tail, and then you draw the line from the tail to the wingtip line for the trailing edge. And you do obviously the same on both sides for the leading edge and the trailing edge. To add these flaps, after I draw this line, I just add these flaps. They can be any length you want, really, and any width you want. These just happen to be the size that's modest and works well. I'm going to include in the description a link to a step-by-step detailed instruction how to make a kite of this basic concept. I made that several years ago, but it is really a very useful tool in helping you if you have any questions or issues that you are uncertain about in making your kite. And believe me, I know how it feels when you're uncertain. It doesn't feel good. You're not sure what to do, and you don't want to make it wrong, and blah, blah, blah. Well, that step-by-step instruction, although it's specific for a bow length and spine length and kite sail dimension, it applies to any kite that is made in this way with a straight leading edge. That's the key. When you keep this leading edge straight, then the step-by-step instruction that I'll include in the description below will apply to any size kite for any wind speed, even though the step-by-step direction is specific for a particular bow length and a particular spine length and a particular plan size, flap size, all of that. It is done in order to help you look at different ways of doing the construction, ways that work for you. Now, I like to use contact cement. This is Weldwood, regular household contact cement I buy at Home Depot. And I like to use that. But many kite makers prefer using double-sided tape. And double-sided tape is a little easier to use for some instances. Certainly neater to use, that's for sure. Especially for me. I'm a little sloppy when it comes to the contact cement. So I hope this series has been useful for you in getting you over the hump, I guess you would say, to realize that there isn't a lot of mystery to fighter kite making. There isn't any magic. When you put the spine in here, I guess one magic thing is where you put the bend. Although we've talked about it, the thing is the bend should be a little bit above where the wingtip line is, and it should raise the nose up about 3/4 of an inch or maybe an inch. And you can use a lot of ways to make the spine bend, no matter what kind of spine you have. One way, using a carbon rod, like we talked about, is with a short piece of aluminum tubing. Another way is to tie a line from just below the wingtip line to near the nose and make an adjustable knot that will tension that line, and in doing so will bend the carbon fiber or the bamboo or whatever material your spine is made of. I use this technique on all of the spines I make that are flat carbon fiber. And sometimes I do it with the spines that are made of bamboo, because bamboo will not always hold the bend that I put in it when the weather is humid, or if I'm at the beach and it's a little bit misty. The dampness will cause the bamboo to straighten out. To prevent that, I put a tension line on it, and I use a taut line hitch knot. That's an adjustable knot, quite easy to tie, and it allows me to adjust while I'm at the flying field how much bend I have in the spine. And I like to experiment with that because there are bends that really seem to work better in certain winds. And when you find those, by adjusting it a little bit here and there, you'll be amazed at how nice the kite will fly compared to how it flew before you made the correct adjustment. So I hope this is useful and that you end up making lots of kites, experiment with your kites, and enjoy flying them as much as I do.